Hey, hi. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Yaya the Fangirl. As you can see here, we are on Neerich, which is my city core island, and we are going to be decorating the museum today. The museum is going to be going for a park, kind of in the center of the busy city kind of feel. So let's get to it. Oh, one last thought though. Because this was such a big build, it took me IRL 3.5 hours to do. This is going to be speed build style with future Yaya voiceover. First things first, we have a big area to decorate here in front of the museum. And as you can see, there's lots of trees here at the moment, mostly because this is where a lot of the money trees started to pop up, as it was one of the only available spaces. So I'm going to grab all of those trees and get them out of the way. Next up, I knew I had to make a final decision on what path codes I wanted to use for the gardens around the museum. So I had these three options: the stone diamond, the grass diamond, and then the dirt or sand diamond. And so this is just me kind of looking at how they look on the ground, which ones I like the best. And so it was really hard. It was a hard decision to make, but I decided I liked the stone and the sand diamonds the best, and decided to not use the grass diamond instead. But first things first, to make sure that this is a no shame build, I am going along the perimeter and putting down the brick code that we've been using across the island. I knew that I wanted to outline the edge of this build with both castle walls and some medieval building sides. So just kind of preemptively going around and lining this area appropriately. And the good thing is that a little bit of my work was already done, because I had done that when I was kind of prepping the area for the beach build. Oh, and me realizing I had put down the wrong code. Oh, also a little info to share. It's not included in this video, but you might have caught a glimpse of the rocks there behind the castle walls. That area that you see is that area right directly behind the gas station build. And when I tell you I struggled so hard to get all of my rocks to spawn back there, I mean, I struggled. And it took me scouring the internet before I finally found a Reddit forum and a couple of posts that said essentially rocks cannot spawn within 4 tile spaces behind a cliff edge. And so my plan, because the rocks don't really fit in anywhere else on my island, I felt like, and I kind of was like, well, there could be a little rock garden, in here. And if anything, they're kind of hidden. You don't see them. It's totally fine. But to get them to spawn there, I had to pick up all of those castle walls, all of those tall things. And I even had to demolish one layer of the cliff of the gas station build to get them all to spawn. When I tell you I was so happy when I finally got them to spawn after time traveling, I can't explain to you enough how happy I was that I finally got that figured out. But long story short, lesson I learned, and I thought I'd pass it along to you lovely folks, because I don't know, you might know it, but I didn't know it. So if you didn't know, now you know. To save space here on the left side, I decided to line this edge with the medieval building sides. Besides the fact that the other side is an alley, I don't know, in my brain I felt like it fit. gonna go ahead and kind of block off or wall off the museum. I don't really want you to be able to see it. This is my first time kind of hiding the museum like this, so you will see me pushing things around and moving stuff around a lot. Yes, and Raymond decided to join me for part of this build. Appreciated his company, but he did kind of get in the way. But besides that, I had seen a picture on Pinterest where they had used the castle gates at the backside of their island as like a frame off to the ocean, and I was obsessed when I saw that picture. When I tell you I was obsessed, I was obsessed. I loved it so much. So I knew I wanted to incorporate that into the build here around the museum. I was also very heavily inspired by numerous different pictures on Pinterest of different grand gardens kind of around the museum, and definitely also knew that I wanted to do that as well. So it's kind of combining a little bit of everything that I saw that I liked. But there is a lot of me like fine tuning, like, does this line up? Does this fit here? Do I need to cover this? You know, trying to kind of play around with the builds and how things overlap, which with the castle walls it is kind of it can be a struggle. It can be a little bit of a struggle, not gonna lie. Also, when I tell you I had to run back to my little workstation and get like restock my pockets a million times, it really did feel like a million times. I'm planning to release a long play, no commentary version of this build, including all of like the prep work that I did, you know, going to Harv's to get the castle walls customized and all of that fun stuff. And it was a bit it was a bit time consuming, but I think it was worth it. I did struggle for a little while deciding whether or not I wanted to continue using the brown castle walls, as you might have noticed if you've seen any of the other videos here on Neerich that that's kind of the motif. It's very much brown, black, dark concrete gray kind of colors. But when I kind of started playing around with that idea and put one down and then put one of the statues I knew I wanted to use in front of it, my brain immediately hated how it looked. I don't know why, but my brain was just like, no. So I was like, you know, if this is the only build that uses this, you know, lighter gray, or I can't remember if it's the gray or ivory castle walls than the rest of the island, you know, then that's okay. It's all good. All right, outer edging is done. Now to put together a grand entrance into the museum area. So I'm going to continue the path here along the front. You might see a couple of the rocks there. I know it's like the road just comes to an end at this like gate, but I like it, you know? Makes me feel like maybe this stone gate was here before the rest of the town was built, or, you know, they've converted, you know, an old castle into the museum and they worked with what was there. And apologies that you don't have any place to park your car. My original idea was to maybe have a parking lot on one side of the museum and a natural gardens on the other side of the museum, but once I kind of got into the space, and I really didn't want to have to move the museum again, and I felt like if I did that I would be obligated to, you know, move the museum, and that would be moving it twice. And I decided, you know, for a big bustling city that I imagine Neerich to be, or at least on the outskirts of a big bustling city, you know, that having a really big garden or park or garden around a museum isn't really that uncommon. I kind of struggled with this area behind the car wash, but we are about to actually jump ahead to a new day because I'm starting to kind of lose the light and really don't like decorating in the dark. Okay, so got some light and also some space here between the castle wall and the back of the car wash. So we're gonna kind of do a similar trick to what we did behind the gas station with the layering effect to kind of, make it seem like maybe this is an alley and there's stuff back there, you just can't access it or see it. So gonna kind of fill in that space here, which is like a utility pole, some gears, just make it feel like there is something there. You just can't get to it, and that's okay. And I'm pretty sure me putting something in like every space is one of the reasons why the island is lagging so bad, but I still love it. It's okay. Bear with me while I try to find the correct color castle wall because, oh my goodness, talk about a headache. Filling in just a couple of extra spaces with a couple of utility poles. All right, at least the outside bits are done. So here you'll kind of see me plopping down a couple of plant partitions and a pergola. At first I was thinking maybe I should like block off the castle gates, from the outside. But once I did that, I realized I didn't like how it looked. I was like, nope, don't like that. I don't know. I didn't like how that looked. So I do end up going back and removing the plant partitions from the area. Plop down a couple of candles here on top of the decorative pillars. So cute. Oh yes, and I had forgotten one additional castle wall. Fill that space in. Pick up the fossils that are spawning. Here I am trying to decide which centerpiece I want on each side. I ended up going with putting the gazebo on the left and the fountain on the right. And the unequal space there on the right side of the museum is going to drive me bonkers later, but we'll get to that. Popping down a couple of the robust statues here, alternating the direction here on either side of the entrance. Yeah, see, it's not even. It's fine. But I'm thinking we want the Valiant statue with the fountain. And maybe also a Valiant statue on both sides. Yeah, we did a Valiant statue on both sides. Oh yes, here I was trying to kind of play around if I wanted you to like catch a glimpse of statues through those gates at the entry. Decided no, let's just pop down one. That's good enough. A couple more wedding candles, that way the top of our pillars aren't naked. All right, so here I am realizing that I forgot to put down the path code all around the museum. I'd remembered to go all along the perimeter, But I had not gone around the museum, so this is me going back and doing that really quick. Like I said again, this is a no shame build. I remembered to put down my codes first. At least I hadn't put down way too much that it felt insurmountable to go back and add them, so there's that. But apart from that, I guess I'll just share just a couple of life updates in case you're curious. So I had gotten laid off back in February from my job. Just been applying since then. In total, because I have a tracker, I've applied to 184 plus jobs. I've been formally rejected from about 63 of them, 65 of them, but I feel like I've got a couple of really good potentials coming up. But even though I am still going back and looking for full-time employment, my plan is to still try to create content and have it coming out on a regular weekly basis here on the channel, so no need to worry about that. But just wanted to share, just that's what's going on in my life outside of working on Neerich here. Apart from that, I am currently in the process of researching and troubleshooting the second switch I had gotten. I'd gotten it from my sister and my brother-in-law. They'd warned me that it was having overheating issues, but they hadn't played it or used it in a while. And so when I started to play it, 30 minutes into just playing ACNH, it overheats and turns off. Not even plugged into the dock, nothing else. So I'm okay, it really needs a little TLC. So I'm going through the process right now of watching all of the troubleshooting steps, cleaning out the fan, if you have to replace the thermal paste on the back or not. So I'm researching how to do all of that right now. So fingers crossed that in the future I could have 2 switches. And I know that they did just announce the Switch 2, and I am very excited for that. But considering the fact that I don't have full-time employment right now, I'm not going to be pre-ordering that. I mean, that'd be so nice because that'd also be another way to have a second Switch. But to be honest, I really would like to get this older version 1 working and not overheating, because I would love to make it spicy. I think that would be amazing to have a spicy Switch and be able to have as many islands as I want. But for now, that is a dream, but we're working towards that goal. Back to the build. Right now, basically, I'm realizing that I should also kind of prep for where I want the path coming out of the museum to go, and made the decision, I think I'm just going to go straight out. I know that the entrance to the museum is definitely not centered with the entrance into the museum area. They're off the road, but I decided it's fine. It's fine. If anything, I feel like it gives it that weird old world charm. This museum was here before, it was an old castle that they converted into a museum or something. Yeah, let's go with that story. That's the new lore now for Neerich, is this museum and the gardens around it are an old castle here in the center of the city of Neerich. So, new lore, just made it up. It's official now. Here I am playing around with this amazing trick I saw on Pinterest. A creator had made this custom code to match the various different shades of the castles, where it basically almost looks like a low retaining wall or like a garden wall. And they had it in the brown as well as this, the gray. I believe they almost had 3 or 4 of the main castle colors matched, and I loved that so much, and I was like, I have to use them somewhere. I just wanted an excuse to use it. But I like how that looks. Here I am going back and adding some of the stone diamond pathing underneath where the gazebo is going to be. I'm just kind of plopping that down, making it like an official walkway. I had seen a lot of different kind of garden inspirations or kind of castle garden inspiration builds on Pinterest using a lot of topiaries and hedges and bushes. And so you might recognize I kind of pulled a variety of design aspects from a bunch of the different, pause while I go and run and get more bushes, because I realized I don't have any bushes in my pocket. So just a second. But you'll recognize that I kind of took a little piece of each of the different inspiration pictures that I had found, and my link to my Pinterest board inspo is going to be below in the video description. But you'll kind of recognize that I'm like, oh, I like this piece, so you incorporated that, and oh, I like that piece, so I incorporated that. And one of the things I'd seen across them was kind of this mix of the different greenery and not just using just one. So I really like that. I feel like it helps, using the bushes in between the hedges really breaks up the lines. And it also feels like it just helps give it better depth. But I decided that this back over here to prop down a couple of floor lights just in case that, like, you know, if you are visiting the DA and it stays and it starts to get dark because you stay a little longer, you know, looking around, that like maybe there's still some ambient lighting. So that's also another reason why I put down a bunch of the party light arches around. And so you'll see me continue to kind of put those around in various spots throughout the gardens. Yes, here I realized I don't like how it looks with the diamond stone underneath the hedges, so really quick, grab those, get rid of those. Much better. Much better, yes. I like how that's looking. All right, moving towards the front. I know I would like to have what appears to be like a official walking path area to kind of like guide you over to the gazebo and like out back onto the cliffs. And so this is just kind of me kind of figuring out where I want that path to go, just kind of deciding to keep it straight. At first I thought I would like to put the statue there in the middle, kind of like it's like a turning point in the path, but we'll see if I keep it there. Also, what would be a, you know, castle gardens or museum gardens without a bunch of lovely seating areas? So this is me kind of just like trying to frame the area to kind of pop down some park benches, you know, or a garden bench, the garden bench, you know, to make it feel like you have like a little secret nook to like hide away and sit and enjoy the gardens. Yeah. Oh yes, this is me realizing that if I want it lined up there, that it'll be naked behind, so I'm going back in and adding more topiaries. I can't tell you how many topiaries I used, but let's just say it was a lot. I used a lot of topiaries in this build. And I really do like alternating the round and triangular topiaries. It's fun. It gives it some good height. And I know that there is, I think, technically one lighter shade of green topiary available that technically matches the grass color here. We are currently in cherry blossom season, so in spring, but I didn't like how pale green those looked, and I wanted to kind of match the hedges because the hedges don't really have various colors. So even though I know it's a slightly different green than the grass, I still decided to go with the brighter green topiaries. Yes, and this is where I decided to make sure that the main walking pathway was completely clear and move the Valiant statue up here kind of in front. And oh my goodness, I am so obsessed with the diamond dirt code. It is adorable. I love it so much. Framing the museum entrance here, and then just kind of geeking out for a second because it's coming together. Ah. But yeah, obviously lining the edges. Here I am kind of trying to decide what to do with this little square rectangular area. Oh yes, but before that I remembered that I had not finished putting in all of the party light arches, and so going back and just popping in a couple of those here along the edge of the castle walls just to kind of help with that ambient lighting, and alternating them with the tall round topiaries. And here I'm struggling to kind of put things down because I can't really see the rocks, but I'm trying to, get around the rocks. So, oh yes, popping down a couple of floor lights on that exit out into the water as well. And I'm thinking I'm gonna set the DA for this probably, golden sunset hour time, kind of like, I want to say like 4:45 or maybe even like 5:30 p.m. So that way, you can kind of get soft glow light here on Neerich, and I think that'll be really, really pretty. Oh yes, back to the weird triangle area. So, or not triangle, rectangular area. Here I decided that I do not have that many flowers here on Neerich. Like, if you've noticed a lot of my builds, there's like almost zero flowers at this point, it feels like. So I decided what would be a castle garden without flowers. So decided to make a garden bed here off just directly to the left of the entrance of the museum. And this is going to be like a really, really small one. But also I've seen people alternating the in-game dirt pathing, the light and dark brown pathing like this. And I just love it. So I was like, let's do that, put a little something down underneath the flowers. Also decided that I should, maybe I should just tuck in another little seating nook here. So you'll see me kind of frame the area, pop down a couple of more flowers. Oh yeah, and then I felt like that was way too much pink. So I went and swapped them out for the green plants. I like that better. And then a couple more white tulips and white hydrangeas. Put down some of my brand new favorite diamond dirt path and prop down a garden bench on top. So cute. All right, now we have this little tiny space. Decided to kind of try to use some more height here because the castle will kind of block so much of it. So making it look like, maybe the gardens continue a bit farther forward, but you just can't see them. And it's not accessible there at the front, but that's okay. It's still really cute. And we are officially halfway. Yay! Half done. So we've now decorated everything off to the left side of the museum, and all that is left is everything off to the right. So let's do it. Here on the right side of the museum, I had seen a inspo picture. It's a pretty popular inspo picture, I feel like, in ACNH kind of garden core. Anytime you not Google search, but anytime you search on Pinterest for it, I feel like one of these images of like the 4 diamonds areas surrounding the center statue always pops up. And I really, really loved that design. I thought it was really pretty. And so I was like, oh, I would love to build that here on the right hand side. And then I realized that 1, this space is not even at all. And 2, I was like, well, maybe if it's not even, I can still, fit it in and it'll still work out. It might just be like smaller or squinched a little bit, or it might not be like fully walkable. And I was like, that should be fine. But then here I'm realizing I don't think it's going to fit at all. So I'm like, well, let's just put down the hedges. Like, don't just mentally count but lay down everything and see if it works. And this is the moment that I realized it wouldn't. And I was kind of sad. But apart from that, I was like, okay, well, instead of doing all 4 corners, what if we just do 2? Like, what if we just do the front 2? Like, there's nothing wrong with that. So here I'm kind of outlining the edges of that, the lower 2 squares, I guess you could call them, and then filling in the hedging for where that will be. And I hope I'm making sense. Okay, here I started to kind of struggle. I didn't want to use the dirt diamond pathing all the way back to the main primary stone path, but I didn't know how to kind of make a good transition area. So here I was like, you know what, it's fine. Maybe we'll just use the diamond dirt pathing as the unofficial secondary path, and just continue the stone diamond pathing you know, all the way through with just like little offshoots of the dirt diamond pathing, even though I love the dirt diamond pathing. Decided to plop down some more ambient lighting and make a little seating nook here off to the side. Wanting to make sure I leave proper space here between things for more topiaries. At this point, I feel like saying topiary, topiary, topiary. You can never have too many topiaries. And even though I haven't used too many trees in this build, or like any except for the pine tree, decided that this was like a weird little space here to like actually use a tree. So I felt like it just helped provide separation between the two halves of the garden and kind of kept you from noticing that they weren't exactly the same or complementary. So here I'm going back and decorating the insides of the little triangles using the Turkey Day standees and some bunny statues. I really love the floating botanical garden item. I can't remember what the official name of that right off the top of my head, but I used it so many times I should know it. But I really love that item. It's so much fun. But here I'm kind of realizing it's kind of short. Like, you kind of have to pull it forward, otherwise you can't see it behind the bunnies. I guess as I put down more topiaries, like I said, this is officially the topiary garden. And when I tell you I went a million times back to my little storage hut area, like I can't tell you enough how many times I ran back to get stuff. But here I'm kind of testing out, maybe I should put like a little fake planted tree behind the bunny, you know, something to make it be taller, kind of like stand up a bit more behind the bunnies. And I decided to go with these trees, and I really like how that works. And I know they don't match, but they're technically the same tree, but like different styles, but it's fine. It's fine. We're telling ourselves that it's fine. Close off the area with some triangular topiaries. And then trying to decide exactly where I want the little floating botanical gardens. Yes, here's trying to kind of decide what I wanted to work on next, because everything's uneven. And I'm like, how am I going to make this work? So I'm like, you know, maybe I'll just keep everything in line with the main castle gate at the back, kind of like the exit, I guess you could call it. And I just started to put down pathing to kind of be like, does this work? Does this not work? Like, how can I make it look even when it's not even, you know? And started trying to kind of, you know, noodle on that with my brain. I also wanted to kind of like separate off this little tiny area here at the front, and was trying out the Woodfield standees that were customized like I did at the back, but I didn't like that. I was like, no. Almost forgot to put back down the fountain. Was like, okay, I put it down way too wide, but then I'm like, never mind. Let's just fill it all in. Let's just fill it all in. We'll just make it all walkable space is basically what I was thinking at this point. It was like, we'll make it even, and then what's left is left. Yeah, trying to make it look intentional. Going back to my good old standby staple here, the hedges, and alternating a couple of bushes in there. After refilling my pockets, decided to frame the main castle gate here at the back with the pine trees, and I kind of struggled to put them down in the opposite directions. I popped them down and I was like, wait a second, they're the same direction. And I don't know why, but my brain did not like that. So I was like, no, let's put this down the other way. So that way they're kind of complementary to each other. but I also want to make sure you could still walk by. So that was a bit of a struggle. Pop down some more topiaries. You get a topiary and you get a topiary. Yeah, at this point I was basically like, pretend like it's even and pop stuff down. And also my brain was just like, let's fill in this weird little space over here, which is something random. Like, what would we imagine to be, off in the corner of a garden? Like maybe like a little birdhouse, some like random other little statues. So that's what I'm doing, just trying to add in some depth, distract you from the fact that it's not even. Also decided to make kind of a complimentary flower bed here on the right side of the museum entrance as well. Obviously it is definitely not equal or even to like mirroring the other side, but I felt like it was still good to kind of have it being complimentary. Here I am going through and, surprise, adding more hedging to kind of separate off the fountain space from the rest of the area. Decided to swap one of these hedges out for another bunny statue. And then there was this weird little naked space back over here. So I decided to kind of make it look, like the gardener had just come by and is in the process of planting some more plants around the area with their little book. So just put those down there. And then, maybe somebody dropped, their snack while they're out working. So I just decided to drop an apple there. And then almost forgot to put back the Valiant statue on this side. So popping it down here on top of the dirt diamond path. And even though it's not even, I love how that's working out. All right, friends, we are done. Thank you so much for coming along with me on this journey today. This was a very big build, and I really, really appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. So if you like what you see, feel free to leave a like, a comment. Definitely hit subscribe if you'd like to see more of the builds here on Neerich. But with that little self-promo aside, let's go ahead and take a look at what we did today. So obviously here behind me is our main entrance. I love this entrance. It's like you're coming to the end of a dead-end street, and then they're like, boom, castle and gardens. Here directly in front of the museum, it's just, I don't know, it feels balanced but not completely even. And we have, the topiaries on either side, the layering of the castle walls to kind of help make apologize for the kitty meowing in the background. But we have the different castle walls to kind of give the building a little bit more depth. But I just really like how this turned out. And yeah, it works pretty well, I think. I also love the cherry blossoms floating in the breeze. It's perfect. I did time travel forward a couple of days just to let all of the flowers grow in. Felt like that would be the best option. This is about the time of day that I'm thinking I might set the DA in the future. Coming off to the right, we see our little garden bed and seating bench here. Continuing on, you see the Valiant statue in the front, and here in the back right we have the gazebo path that you can walk through all the way out off onto the rock and look out at the water. Oh, I just love that view. Coming back over to the left side, I'm actually going to skip by everything really quick. The main piece here is the fountain. You can really only technically walk around here on the left side, but I love the castle gate being framed with the pine trees and then the pergola out onto the long rock. I just love this view. It's just gorgeous. See, isn't it pretty? Coming back in, obviously, we have the pine trees. We've got our little fountain centerpiece. Here in the front, we have our two squares kind of alternating the Valiant statue and another little seating nook off there. We have the little mini tiny flower bed there. And it's just so cute. All right, friends, thank you so much for coming along with me today on this journey. This was a very big build. I am hoping to put out another long play, no commentary version of this video. I hope you got some great ideas for your own islands in the future, city core or non-city core. And I hope you're having a great day. And I'll see you next time. Bye.